The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, I hope our viewers are already waiting in the wings to know what the big issue of the day is. And before announcing the big issue, I would like to introduce our in-house analyst with me here. We have Chibuzo Okaibe.
Thank you.
And of course, Tunde Oguntola.
Thank you for having me.
I'm your regular host. George Jagba is my name. And the big issue for the day is the revocation of the broadcasting license of 52 stations by the NBC and other matters arising. The controversy over the decision of the National Broadcasting Corporation to revoke and shut down 52 broadcast stations in the country for failing to renew their licenses has generated some discontent in the federal government attitude towards the media in Nigeria. Well, the Director General of the NBC, Mr. Malambara Rabe Musa Shehu Ileha. Is that what that is? Ilela. The name sounds like he said the date for which their licenses were revoked was between 2015 and 2021. And of course, the matter has become a subject of litigation before the court. Because in the spirit of camaraderie, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, SERA, approached the court to seek redress over the revocation. For how long they will go is what we are waiting to see. But today, the matter here borders on the idea of revoking this license just a few months to the general election. Most Nigerians say they suspect foul play, although we know very well that even state governments are involved. And of course, don't be surprised. That is due to certain attitude of the federal government of recent. Remember, during the NSAS process, they find some broadcast stations like Arise Television and the same AIT. They find them between 5 to 3 million for violation of. Most Nigerians are worried that it amounts to how do we call it? The clampdown on the media.
Okay, thank you, George, for that question. First, I would like us to politicize this issue of revoking the license of 52 broadcast stations in the country, but rather, let's be worried of where we are heading to as a nation. This is equal to the fact that the nation is highly grappling with insecurity, and yet the same media platform that is being used to disseminate information to people in the rural areas is now licensed are now threatened for revocation by NBC. This is highly uncalled for, ill-timed and draconian. I was at the press briefing where the NBC DG announced the revoking of the license of these media houses, and I quickly told him, sir, this is draconian, as it will lead to job loss. There are several thousands of people who are working for these media houses. Yet you said you want to shut down their operation because they are owing you. Not even minding that the nation is just trying to recover from the effects of COVID-19 pandemic that has really grappled the whole world, where everybody is seeking survival. But rather, I would like to tell the NBC that instead of even asking broadcast station to pay 15 million naira for category A station and 11.2.5 million for category B station, that's stations that are in not like I don't want to call like states where the economy is rather booming. We are category B stations. So I would like them to say that they should really consider their actions against this station. And again, considering the role of the media in the society, informing, educating, and enlightening the public, the government should rather consider ensuring that no media houses pay a license renewal fee. They should enjoy this benefit owing to the fact that they are doing Nigeria a great service. They are helping to inform Nigeria, so they don't need to collect money from it. But rather, when a station meets you people for perhaps registration, then you can collect money for license renewal of the same amount of money every 5 years. It's just like, okay, you paid 15 million today. In the next 5 years, you are also expected to pay another 15 million to renew your license in the next 5 years. So every 5 years, you have to renew your license for 15 million naira. What about if you don't have this income? Paying staff. Look at the cost of diesel. Diesel is now so very expensive that it's highly affordable, even affecting not just the media, but also the manufacturing sector. I would like to stop there.
Thank you very much. You see why I'm saying these things. Huh? You see, in 2019, in the build up to the 2019, this issue of revocation of license came up. I recall then the NBC threatened this media station. And you see, the fact that it's always come during electioneering season is what most Nigerians are worried about. It goes a long way to show the how do we call it? The hate,
The question of
dislike, the motive behind the Buhari-led federal government against the media. Today in 2019, I think that revocation issue came up.
Yeah, but not as
They didn't go as long. They didn't go. They didn't go to the extent of revoking it completely.
Yeah, they quickly met with NBC, and the issue was resolved.
We are heading towards 2023. It's coming up.
Well, it's really, I wouldn't want to dismiss the or summarily dismiss the intrigue that appears to be playing out with regards to serendipity. It happened before, now it's happening again. The time, the context of timing. I wouldn't want to just wave that off, in that sense. But I think the issues should be looked at for what they are. I also wouldn't want to, like Sunday pointed out, make it wholly a political issue. Because I want to believe that all sides understand the implication of this. Having a media blackout does not help anybody, not even the government, not even politics. It's beyond government actually to have a media blackout. The implication of that. So I would think that all of the parties should be talking about coming to the realization of the implication of this within the context of what we face economically. For the past 3 or 4 years, we've not had the best economic time. I would want to join those who think it's a global issue. And I think to a large extent it's a global issue. The world is just coming out of a pandemic crisis. it affected a whole lot of workforce and revenue thing, and the economy has not been, stable. Global economy is yet to recover from that on the one hand. Also, Nigeria has had to go through recessions, and some of the worst hits has been the media, even before the COVID thing happened. The worst hit has been the media. While other sectors, while some other in quotes more critical sectors were given bailouts, I'm not sure the media was given that kind of bailout. So we had to deal with, for print especially, print material. For broadcast, there was a sharp decline in patronage, advertorial wise, and that is, of course, that is where most media houses get the bulk of their revenue from. And so we were coming out of that, and then COVID-19 happened. We battled with COVID-19. Still no bailout. I don't think there was a bailout.
No.
And then now we have to deal with what is happening in Europe. Unfortunately, our economy is not isolated from what happens globally, of course. And so, if
Like the Russian-Ukrainian war.
exactly. So these are things that impact seriously on our economy. And for a system that does not think the media should be given some kind of special concession, a worst hit sector has been the media sector. And so it becomes a challenge for media houses first to meet up with coming up on air, to be on stream, and to serve that constitutional responsibility of providing information, educating people, explaining, and giving context to issues. So I think it is really critical that the NBC begin. Of course, the NBC has its point. You have to pay up. It is what the law says and what the law provides for, and all of that. Of course, fine. But these things should be put in context of the realities of the times. Because if you do, after all, law is meant for man and not man for law. So these are things I think the NBC should look into critically and begin to have some form of rethink. It's not a question of you are right or wrong, or you must act like this or you must act like that. This is a time where things should be put in proper perspective in light of the situation we have on the ground and what can be in the best interest of national security and national interest.
Thank you very much, Ibuzo. I think you made a certain point there. And of course, you see, the matter is a very critical one because Nigerians are worried that if this happens, then freedom of press is at stake. The playground for the media to discharge its duty of informing, educating, and enlightening the public is also at stake. Well, we would like to take a short break, hoping that by the time we come, our viewers will contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue. breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue, breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the revocation of the licenses of 52 broadcast stations and other matters arising. Well, back to what we were saying. Today, you see, the worry here is that there are allegations that the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is using the MDC as a tool to deploy tactics to stifle press freedom. You understand? Contrary to the provisions of Section 22 and 39(1) of the 1999 Constitution. And just like I told you, they say there are precedents. They refer back to the NSAS saga, where some broadcast stations like AIT and Rice Television were fined, channels too, I think, were fined for, they say, for just merely granting interview to people they feel should not have been allowed to speak to the public. You see, things like this is baffling because the one that from yesterday, I see Lai Mohammed is one man that has enjoyed enough goodwill from the press. Remember, in the build-up to the 2015 election, Lai Mohammed was the spokesman of APC. And we were always calling Lai Mohammed a very strong and vibrant spokesman of the APC because he made the APC very vibrant then. And it was because the media was actually giving him that leverage, opening the space for him. You see the way he blasted the Jonathan's government. I think that was a point where you hear they were now calling the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, as clueless and the rest. And anytime anything happens, then on that government, in short, if rain falls now and a very big windstorm pulls down houses, you hear that Lai Mohammed is now linking that natural disaster to the failure of the Jonathan government. There was a tremor in Abuja one time. They say blaming Jonathan government for tremor. That was Lai Mohammed. And how was this made possible? He was everywhere. In the same media, the press, both the newspapers and the broadcast station. And then him being the Minister of Information and sitting down to allow this kind of a thing to happen. And the idea is that you have not actually collected, even in terms of revenue generation. There are many firms, businesses, and the rest that don't remit that. You don't worry about it. It has to do with broadcast stations. That is the fear here today. And you say we shouldn't politicize?
Yes, I will still come back to what I said earlier. I did not really see politics playing out here, and I am not the spokesman of the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, so I cannot speak for him. However, what I know is that the minister has been in the forefront fighting against fake news and all the rest in the media. You understand? The truth is, Mr. George, you and I know the truth. Fake news won't do us any good as a nation. What the government is seeking is for you to use your social media handles positively. Likewise, your media handles positively. You see, the recent issue you made mention to of some media houses for broadcasting issues on bandits. You understand that? And they say it's against national security. To some extent, I would like to say this categorically. There is no government in this world that wish to be criticized. No government. You can say all over the world, no government wish to be criticized. So I think they are only playing their part to ensure that they deliver good governance to the people. However, back to the issue of revocation of license of AIT and 51 other broadcast station, I will say, and my stance remain, that the media is doing what it ought to do. Nigerian media, I can say, is one of the most vibrant media in the world, and it's top one of the top 10, two in the world. Hence, the government up needs to be giving them some kind of grants, some kind of leverages, not the decision to revoke their license because they cannot be. If, although some state-owned media houses owe into, can we say that the government is sanctioning this the media state government media houses, which is their own handles? No. According to them, they only want them to do the right thing to ensure that they pay their dues and their fees as at when due. But the issue remains the same. I am of the view that instead of media houses to be paying broadcast license renewal fee, it should be free because they are indeed doing good job for the nation.
Sorry, continue short, man. If it has to do with it being free, what are the process leading to making it free now? And it goes back again to contradict, to still
Well,
what you're
if
saying.
for it to be free,
If
there
it is
must be
possible that we can make it
constitutional
free,
amendments.
this government would have thought it twice and no, it's high time we make this thing free for the stations, considering the economic situation.
For us to do this, there have to be constitutional amendments. You understand? We have to go back to our constitution. Because yes, already in the constitution that they should pay their license fee. I know with more pressure, permutation, as well as lobbying, it will work out, and media also start enjoying free to air. While for those who just want to register new, pay their license fee.
Well, thank you very much. I think what you said there is exactly the Nigerian Labour Congress on Wednesday called for downward review of the media operating license in the country. You understand?
Me, I'm not calling for downward review. I said it should be free, totally free. Yes.
Scrapping of the payment of such
license,
renewal of such
renewal
licenses.
license,
So, brother, what do you think in this regard? I think that will not be even a bad idea if the federal government decides to say, okay, let's just do this for the media. Just like you raised the issue of bailout, subventions, the media will never ever get, while other sectors, like the manufacturing sector, will always be giving bailouts. The media had always been like that. You on your own. It still goes a long way to show you that the Buhari government that we expected that will carry the media along for the role the media play in installing it. Well, it goes a long way to show that at the end of the day, we are in trouble as in this country when it comes to press freedom and it comes to allowing the media a level playing ground to discharge its duty of informing, educating the public.
I think this goes back to, there's a place for the law and there's a place for the spirit of the law and the intendment of the law and how the law should work. With the privatization of the media space, I think there's a sense in which there's an intendment for, if you want to do this as a private practice, you play by the rules of private establishments, which is that you do it for business, and then if you do for business, there are certain things you need to play by. So if those rules are clearly stated as a business entity, private business entity, a media house, of course, you have to play by those rules. And so if you have to pay whatever levies you have to pay, it's expected that you do that, like every other private business entity. Now, there's no taking out of that, because the danger in saying let them not pay, for me, is that you make the media become too indebted in that sense. Indebted to a government system that says we are giving you this free of charge
leverage.
And so
I'm
coming. And so you don't it gives a sense of being, how do I put it now, indebted to them, like I said.
And then there will be no independence.
Exactly. It questions the question. There will be a question of independence to some extent because you are now at their mercy.
You now become a lackey of that same
Exactly.
government. And
But,
doing his
you
bidding.
know, and so it will require a lot more to do to really establish that you are independent in that sense. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to say if they say go free hand, the media might not be able to do that, but it keeps you at a very because this is a private establishment. If you are running a private establishment, you should play by the rules of the private establishment. However, I do think that every economic situation, the economic situation per time, like I said earlier, should in a way determine how these things should work. There's no hard and fast rule. Some services are essential. The media falls in that category. That is why whenever they shut down places, they say no movement, no, the media falls under that umbrella of people who dispense essential services, whether it's private or whether it is public. So it's the media cuts across. You understand? The media cut the quality of the essential service, the kind of service the media provide cuts across. Because in the event of no media, you are clearly talking of chaos, outside chaos. And so that space that the media, um, that role that the media plays helps to cause for stability. It's a question of stability within the system. The media is a critical element of ensuring stability in any system. Any system. And so that is why we provide essential service. So I would advocate in line of what the Labour are pushing for, but there should be at least in recognition of where we are at the moment. Cut it down, slash it in light of what we face, the current economic realities
No, but
globally.
what I think Tunde is even talking of it.
I know.
Is that once you pay for your license, that should be all. Not that
Because
every 5 years.
and the reason is this.
I know.
Do you know some stations pay as much as to buy diesel alone in a month? There are some stations who buy diesel of up like 10, 15 million to run.
That is where it therefore means we are practically relating in the same light. But I wouldn't subscribe for an outright thing where you say, oh, because it's a business, just do your thing. And we're not going to,
We're accountable to
exactly.
renew license pay.
If there's a need to do that, because the other issue is to ensure that these things don't get abused.
It won't get abused.
There's a question of abuse.
You all know
I also agree that
you
there's a place for regulation. I agree. But so that we don't have a situation where it just becomes a thing for everybody to just come in and start doing and it becomes an abuse.
Everyone knows
That's
that the Nigerian media is one of the most vibrant in the world and cannot be said they will do the bidding of the government because they don't pay renewal fee. No. The role of communication is also very, very important. You understand? Even Professor Akifele, we said that for information is not able to come to South Africa, there must be communication. So the media is needed at every point in time to do what? To inform the people, to ensure that they are well educated. Not even at the time of the role the media has played in fighting insecurity in the country, informing and ensuring that people are well abreast of knowing where to go and where not to go, as well as helping, in fact, in the fight, in the war against Boko Haram insurgency. I know the role the media have played in also helping to reduce the power of this Boko Haram insurgency. The media should not pay renewal license.
Well, Chibuzo, let's now look at it this way. If you are saying that, let's assume that yes, it
It's us.
beginning from the media.
Let the law take. No, wait. Let the law see. There's
That
a.
is why
There's
most
a.
Nigerians
No,
say-
I'm coming.
Let
There
us
is a
go and
political
clap down
undertone to
on
this
over
clamp down.
2 media
Get
houses.
my point.
Okay.
This is a business establishment. First of all, it's a private business establishment. Is it not? When you
Not just
I'm coming,
private,
I'm
there's also
coming.
government-owned media houses,
Fine.
not established for
Fine.
profit.
There is a government. Of course, that's why they're government and they get subventions. You understand? But if you run it as a private establishment, what is your primary motive? What is your primary motive? To run it as a private business establishment.
Everybody knows
profits.
knows what businessmen want.
For profit.
You understand? However, and that was why I was trying to explain, point out that there has to be a middle ground. It's not, the government shouldn't look at it as a regular business. This is a business of communication
Thank you very much.
and a sense
And that is where
and
you
a
have
sense
to-
for partnership.
because you say you
That
make
was
it
what I was
look as if
pointing
it's a
to.
very pure
to serve national interest.
Well, thank you, Chibuzo. Well, I'll thank our viewers for actually keeping tab with us. And of course, as they can observe, you could see clearly that we here in the studio have been circumspect in actually discussing this idea of the revocation of licenses of media houses. And the reason is that we too, a media house ourselves, we leave the situation for the public to decipher. And of course, I know very well that as time goes on, their comments will be dropped on the platform here for us to really go and see what the public thinks about the revocation of licenses.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.